Okay guys, today we're looking at replacing the diaphragm and doing a bit of maintenance on our air pumps. I'm doing two different types, a Sierra and a Vitapet. The one you're looking at now is the cheaper of the two, the Vitapet. Now if you are in any way, shape or form unfamiliar or uncomfortable working with mains power, do not attempt this. I don't want to be sued. So you need a screwdriver, a pair of pliers, and a bottle of nail polish. Ooh. Now diaphragms in these things do perish over times, and for some models you can get replacements and some you can make a working model out of cannibalizing other ones that might have had different faults with them. So first of all, unscrew the bottom plate on the Vitapet model. And this is what it looks like inside. There's not much to them. You can see here the two diaphragms, and they're both attached to a moving armature. So these are the diaphragms, and these are what needs to be replaced. So you can remove the armature without removing any more screws. Just have to be a little bit careful and wiggle it off that pump part very slowly, and it'll come away. So we've removed it now from the air pump, and all you need to do now is there's a central screw that holds this diaphragm on, so just use your pliers on one side, hold the nut, use your screwdriver on the other side and pull it apart. Now there's a couple of screws. Just make sure you remember the order that you remove the screws and the washers from this armature. Okay, here's another angle for you to look at. So just unscrew it. So there's a nut on the outside, then the support brace or armature, and then there's another nut and a washer. Throw that away, we don't need that anymore. We've got a new one. So just the complete reverse order. Now, particularly on this stage where the nut is going through the rubber of the diaphragm, do not over tighten it. Do not tighten this up too much or it'll cut into the rubber. And that's what you don't want. Okay. Just so it's a nice firm fit, that's all you want. And tighten it up on the final part with your pliers. I'm sorry that's out of shot there, but you can probably imagine what I'm doing. And here's where your nail polish comes in. Just put a dot of nail polish on that outside nut. It'll lock it in place and the vibrations won't loosen it over time. And the process for getting this back into place is just the opposite of how we got it out. Now sometimes there's a flipper valve. I don't know what this part of the pump's called, but it's like the bellows or something. You can pull it out. On these cheap ones it's actually manufactured right into it. On the more expensive model I'll show you later, you can actually replace the flipper valves, but if they break or they stop working on these cheap models, there's very little you can do about it. So I'll just replace that because there's nothing I can do with this one. Okay, so we just sort of gently work this back into place now. And what we'll do here is we'll plug it in and we'll check it's operational before we close it back up. So about to plug it in, and yep, it works, and it works fine. We have air coming out, so just lick your finger or something and put it in front of the air valves and you'll see whether it's blowing air out. As I say, be careful, you are working with lethal voltages here. Unplug it and then put the base back on. And we're good to go. A now working VitaPet 6000 that would otherwise end up in the garbage. So now we're going to look at these diaphragms, and as you can see, they're not an industry standard. They come in different sizes, and this is just two I've shown you. Take it to the pet shop if you don't know what to get. Okay, and this is the Sierra. Now this is a middle to higher priced air pump. I bought this because supposedly it was quiet, and it doesn't really turn out to be quiet. So this one's a little bit different in construction to the cheap one. As you can see, there's a knob on top there, and that's to vary the airflow. So we'll do the same as we did with the other one. We'll take the bottom off, making sure, of course, we haven't got it plugged in. And there we go. As you can see, it's a different construction. You can remove the diaphragms on these with difficulty without pulling anything else further out, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Although if you want to work on it with some sort of ease, I guess you'd have to pull these other screws out that I'll show you later. So gently prising the diaphragm off its holder. I should be able to show you what the flipper valve looks like. Now you can see a black spot there. It's not quite that. There's actually a lighter piece of very thin, I guess, rubber underneath it, and that's the flipper valve. Now these are replaceable. I don't know how easy it is to get replacements, but they are replaceable. So your local aquarium pet shop may have replacements. On this higher end stuff you may be able to get some replacement parts. So now I'll put it back together, which is just much the same as the other one. Just make sure that the diaphragm's seated properly before you close it up. And there we go. Screws back in the base. And that's how you replace the diaphragm in two different models of air pump.